One of the most important things about your virtual event is that people actually show up for it. And if you watched any of the other videos in this masterclass series on challenge funnels and 3-day virtual events, we've talked at length about what to do to get people to show up, but in more of a fragmented way. So what I've done for you in order to organize the efficiency of your learning so you can maximize your dollars that come out the other side of this funnel is where you put it all together inside of one video for you on how to maximize your show rate, not just for day 1, but for day 2 and day 3 as well. That way you have the highest probabilities to be pitching to the most people possible throughout your virtual event. Very exciting video for you. If you're new to the channel, all we talk about around here is cracking $1 million months. You're either adding the first million or trying to tack on that next million a month if you're sitting here watching these videos. So welcome into the channel. But of course, there's no income claims. There's no earning potential. We have no idea who the fuck you are and whether you have any probability at all to make $1 with what we're sitting here talking about, let alone the amount of revenue our clients, Inner Circle members, and Master Internet Marketing students make, and nor are we even implying that if you bought those offers that you have any chance to make money. We're simply entertaining and educating you right now and passing down some game from the people that we've worked with over the years who have done these things at scale. It's a pleasure to have you here, my friend. And of course, if you are already a subscriber, welcome back. Absolute banger for a video. Let's dive in. So you know, if you have been here already, that I'm a big fan of what I call back-end selling systems. So there's a very important thing to consider when you are going through your advertising and your sales process and thinking about it from the mind of a consumer. On the front end, people are in what I like to call scanner mode, okay? And the front end requires you to understand this. Most people are looking from a perspective of efficiency. All human beings, from an evolutionary psychology perspective, have it ingrained into us to conserve our energy. We don't like to expense energy on anything that's not deemed worth expensing it on. Simply put, we're used to having rations. We didn't have unlimited calories. We didn't have unlimited fuel available to us. Now, in this day and age, we do, but again, human mind hasn't adapted for that. Genetically, DNA, our brains, we don't want to do more than what we have to do. So when people are in the looking at your ad, considering converting on your landing page part of the process, they're just trying to see if it's right for them or not. They're not necessarily sold even when they buy or opt in to the actual challenge or virtual event itself. They're just willing enough to have essentially said, yeah, I think that could be for me. That kind of makes sense. Like, I'm willing to give you a shot. But that's why 100% of people don't show up to the actual virtual event day 1 itself, because they're not sold. And so then you have to get into the logic of what we call back-end selling, which, good news for you, is where a lot of high intent consumption actually occurs. On the back-end side of things, they're no longer in scanner mode. Now they're in what we call the justification phase, okay? So justifications are how we all get to the point where we make decisions. And look, you're a rich guy. I'm sure you can think all kinds of shit, whether it's a watch or a car or a house or, fucking hiring this person or that person or buying XYZ. The first thing that you do is you just try to bring it to awareness that you're even willing to buy something. And once you have that initial hook in you, what you start to then try to do is justify actually doing it or not. Now, your goal is to understand this concept. We call it the interest spectrum, okay? There's 4 key levels of interest that you got to understand. There's curious, there's general interest, there's a high level of interest, and then there's conviction. Conviction is where deals get done. Anything above conviction, that is where the consumer has willingness to actually buy from you. Now, your goal is to try to assess. You're probable to have people at all 3 and maybe even all 4 of these different levels as they buy your challenge or virtual event or as they opt into it. Now, your ideal outcome prior to day 1 of that challenge starting is to raise their overall level of interest to the highest possible level. Now, how do we do that? With information. The right information leads to action. The wrong information leads to inaction, or the lack of information leads to inaction. A lot of businesses, and this is really important as an integral belief and perspective you got to have if you're going to get this to work for you and have the highest show rate possible. You got to deeply believe that when you look at somebody who opts in or buys to show up, that they're unsold still and that they need their interest level raised, that they need that key piece of information to hit them. If you remain in the mindset that they're already sold. Well, dude, they already opted in. Jeremy, what the fuck are you talking about? They already bought a ticket. Like, of course they're probable to show up. It's like, well, no, my friend. Now, again, that's why you don't have 100% show rates. That's why you're sitting here watching this, because you know you're full of shit with that kind of gaslighting belief. Makes no sense as a foundational view to have. And if you don't remove that view, none of what I'm going to sit here and tell you is going to make sense for you, okay? Because you're just going to look at it from that same perspective of like,
oh, people are probable to show up anyway, they already bought.
So anyway, back to my point. Okay, so we have whole videos on this channel dedicated to back-end selling systems, each one independently. And in addition to that, videos where I talk about them collectively as a system. Now, let me just be clear on what these are so you guys understand. There's 4 of them that we like to use, okay? And these 4 specifically, each on their own has had tremendous impact. One of them costs money, 3 of them don't cost money. The one that costs money is called the Hammer Them strategy. So the Hammer Them campaign, just to reiterate it to you, the summary version of it is you're going to take short form and long form content, and a whole lot of it at that. You're going to upload the list of people who bought the ticket to show up, and you are going to hammer the fuck out of them with content. Again, both short form and long form. And you're not going to pick random content. You're going to try to pick content that fits what we call these 4 quadrants. Questions, second layer questions, objections, and expectations. Your goal is to take content just like this and put it in front of people prior to them showing up. Your goal is to bias both on short form and long form because people have different consumption patterns. People have different preferences. And yes, long form typically creates higher trust, and so we don't want to exclude that. And short form has a higher probability to reach people and make our points faster. So we want to make sure we have that too. We take 30 to 50 different pieces of short form content and anywhere from 15 to 30 pieces of long form content, and we're going to put it in front of people with what we call a frequency goal. Now, we're going to run these as engagement campaigns optimized for through play video views. And there's a very tactical way to set it up properly. I won't bore you with that right now. We save that for people who actually give us money. I want you to understand the concept right now. This, in and of itself, as soon as somebody buys, just getting hammered with a fuckload of content, increases the probability dramatically that they show up because you stay in front of them the entire time from the time they purchased to the time of the actual event. And if you're smart, by the way, you'll take all of what I'm talking about for these back-end selling systems and you'll implement them not only between the ticket purchase and day 1, but you'll do it between day 1 and day 2 and day 3. Okay? But again, we'll talk about that more here shortly. For now, just understand all of what's possible for you to do to help the show rate improve. With that Hammer Them campaign, you're going to see a lot higher show rate if you actually execute it successfully. And again, imagine, I typically tell you as an example in this very series, you want to have upwards of a 60-day promotional cycle if you want as many paid buyers as you possibly can get, and also giving yourself some wiggle room to fuck up a little bit, fix things, and maximize the overall amount of people that buy. Okay? Those promotional cycles, those have the highest probabilities to get high thousands of people or maybe even low tens of thousands of people to buy. The shorter the promotional cycle, typically, unless you spend a fuckload of money in that short cycle and everything goes really well for you, you have to work in that extra period of time. That way you have a higher quantity of people that overall buy. So again, keeping content in front of them that entire window makes it so they don't forget, right? It reminds them, okay? And this gets into point number 2, which again, this is one of the 3 that does not cost money. The Hammer Them is the only one that actually costs some dollars because you have paid advertising spend that you have to distribute out. So we call this second one value dense email sequences. Now, you likely, as most people who run challenge funnels or virtual events will, only have reminder emails, okay? You're gonna have a low show rate if you only have reminder emails. Do you wanna have reminder emails? Yeah, of fucking course, dude. But do you only wanna have reminder emails? No. You wanna obviously have things like calendar invites, the reminder email sequences, but you also wanna have value dense email sequences. So the whole concept of this, and again, whole video on this channel dedicated just to this topic, by the way. And for all our paid buyers, we have a massive SOP and of course, a lot of additional training and email examples that we can show you as it relates to what I'm talking about right now. But back to my point, all you're trying to do is take the things that you want people to know that are genuinely valuable things that get them excited to showing up, that educate them further, that increase their awareness, that raise their interest levels, things that they actually want to know, not a bunch of bullshit, okay? Truly valuable things that they genuinely would find valuable. You want to take those things, you want to write them into the email. You don't just want to send them out with the expectation that they're going to click to something and consume it. Take what you'd ever have them click through and put it right in the email itself. Email open rates right now sit on average about 50 to 70%. It's fucking awesome. However, click-through rates still sit at historic lows, usually in the single digits for the most part. So from that perspective, that's why I give you the pro tip of take whatever you'd otherwise have people click through to and put it right there in the email itself. Now, if you do this, again, over a broad duration of time where you have such a long, drawn-out promotional cycle, it makes a lot of sense not to blast 6 a day for 60 days in a row at people for that high of a frequency. But keeping valuable insights and information and keeping people excited, no matter where they bought in the process, pretty important part of the process at that. You then roll into the next part, which is what we call confirmation page best practices. Now, with these confirmation page best practices, one of the big parts of it is what we call breakout videos. Now, breakout videos, pretty simple to understand. If you follow that logic that I talked about up here, where I say on the front end, they're in scanner mode, and on the back end, that's where their intent and their justifications come into play, and they're seeking information. They clearly raised their hand and said, yeah, I think this could be for me. Your job is to nurture that little bit of curiosity or that base level of interest to a higher level. Confirmation pages are obviously right after they pivot into that justification mode where they're seeking more information, they're intentionally learning, they're trying to further justify this is the right thing for me, I'm committed to this idea, okay? So on the confirmation pages with breakout videos specifically, that's where we start to showcase single videos at a time, generally 1 to 3 minutes long, with a whole array of topics that we teach to people in our Inner Circle program, that we teach to people in our Master Internet Marketing program. Again, links down below in the description for those. But you take these little 1 to 3 minute videos, you put them onto the page, and we have clients that have upwards of 19 of these as an example. We have clients that have like 3 to 5 of them, right? A lot of you who secret shop my funnels as an example, when you go to my confirmation pages, you'll see I have anywhere from like 3 to 5, give or take the specific offer. What you're trying to do is you're trying to tell people things, give them insights on things. These are typically some of the most common things that you want people to understand right after they just opted in, and you want to nurture that trust to its highest level. Besides best practices relating to breakout videos on confirmation pages, there's a whole slew of other things. But again, I won't sit here and bore you with that. There's whole videos on my channel dedicated to that topic in itself. And of course, again, we have a lot of stuff inside of our paid offers. Now, the final thing, the SDR best practices, right? Otherwise known as the setter best practices. These guys matter a lot when it comes to improving show rate. You have a human being that manually reaches out to you, or if you have a really good AI service that can mimic what a setter can do, and it actually sounds like a real person and doesn't have that delay that most of the AI services do, you can use that too. But again, just to be clear, you ideally want to double dial people, get a hold of them, text them. And the job with this specific best practice as it relates to back-end selling systems is to try to tailor information to that specific person that you're talking to, right? Look them up online, look at any application data, look in the CRM, try to just find things out about them, or on the phone, try to ask a few strategic questions about why they're specifically interested in whatever the topic is of your upcoming virtual event, and take a list. They should have a monster list of well-organized, categorically organized resources and sales assets and trust assets that they can tailor a list of for that person that they're talking to. So the conversation's like, hey, wanted to see what got you interested in, this whole topic in the first place. Like, what's piqued your curiosity here? Oh, I'm interested because of, okay, great. Well, hey, if I told you, by the way, that I've got a few things that could help with before the event even starts, would you be interested in me sending those over to you? Yeah, okay. Would you like it via text? Would you like it via email? Would you like it via both? Great, I'll shoot it over now. Just take a look at it. Looking forward to seeing you, by the way. If you have any questions, like, I work for the organization, this is my cell number, just shoot me a message. Be happy to answer anything that you got prior to this whole thing. By the way, I can also hold your hand if you struggle to get access on a particular day, if you need a certain join link, like, whatever. Treat me like your support contact in the instance that, you're interested in doing so. And, of course, after the event is done, I'll reach out to you too, right? And so you're trying here to establish pre-event communication. That way, by the time the event's over with, and maybe that person specifically didn't book a call or didn't do a direct to checkout, no problem. Like, your setter's already established communication with them and can strategically hit that fucker up and try to get them to buy. You understand? So long story short, you implement all these back-end selling systems, you have a much higher probability in and of itself to get a really high day 1 through day 3 show rate. Now, again, just in the context of what I've communicated to you so far, I just want to make sure I reiterate this. so you walk away in full understanding of what I'm sitting here talking about to you, okay? You do these for day one, okay? And you build them relative to how far out you are to make sure that you maximize show rate. You do the same thing for day two, my friend. Okay, so between day one and day two, even though it's a really short window, you blast them with a fuckload of content for the hammer them strategy to increase show rates. Okay, you have the setter reach out. Hey, how was day one? Oh, yeah, you liked it. Hey, you coming to day two tomorrow? Day two is the most important day. It's the most important day by far. Make sure you show up. The time it starts is this time. You got any questions, by the way, that you want me to submit to the team to see if they can cover it? Okay, great. Thank you so much. You know, you have specifically a little bit of value dense email sequences that you can hit them with between day one and day two, but the only one you really lack here is the confirmation page, right? Depending on how you execute your challenge, in one of these videos in this series, I don't even remember which one it is at this point, there's so many, I talked about this dashboard concept and how you can have a dashboard that has access to the day one, day two, day three join links, the breakout rooms, the applications that you want people to inevitably fill out, directed checkout links, deposit links to book a call. Like you have a place, like a central place where people can look at a bunch of stuff. You can strategically update the dashboard between day one and day two with some confirmation page best practice assets, but you don't technically have a confirmation page by default between day one and day two. You know what I mean? So anyway, long story short, same concept. Between day two and day three, you hit people again and the communication should adapt relative to what happened between those 72 hours. So long story short, this is like what the necessities are, okay? And then from there, there's just a few like sprinkles and cherries on the sundae that you could throw on top, but they're not things that are necessities. And so I won't cover them here on YouTube. I say those kinds of things for the people who pay us. And again, you can check out links down in the description, but at the very least, go check out all the other videos in this series on how to maximize total amount of revenue and get a big old challenge funnel virtual event lump sum coming your way, huh? All right, go get richer. Talk soon.